Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I thought I would do a video today about my pregnancy and my birth experience that I had with Aria. So we'll go ahead with the pregnancy first. Aria was very much a planned baby. I always said to Sam that if we were ever going to have a baby, if you get me pregnant and heavily pregnant during summer, I will kill you. So we planned for a winter baby. So I fell pregnant with Aria pretty quickly. I think we were only trying for about a month or so. And then I took a test and yeah, first time round, pregnant, had no dramas. So everything was pretty good up until, like always, the 6 weeks mark. And I was so ridiculously sick. They call it morning sickness, but in reality, like, it's all day sickness. I was sick as soon as I woke up of a morning. I think it's to do with not having anything in your stomach. So I always made sure I had crackers sitting on the side of my bed waiting for me. So I'd get up, vomit, have breakfast, vomit the breakfast. So that went on for about 10 weeks or so. I ended up losing about 7 kilos during that time, so it wasn't good, but everything was fine. She was healthy as anyway. So the things that I found that I couldn't eat during my pregnancy was pretty much everything. For obviously the first between 6 and 16 weeks or so, I pretty much just lived off dry toast, yogurt and fruit, I think, and that was it. I didn't really have a terrible pregnancy. I absolutely loved being pregnant. To me, that was the most comfortable, and you know, I actually have never felt so beautiful in my life being pregnant. You know, it's just like, I don't know, it's just good endorphins, your hormones are all raging, and it's good. Funny thing is, I was actually the most calm and mellow pregnant person in the world. Normally I am very highly anxious, very emotional at times, and somehow being pregnant, it kind of just leveled me out completely. So pregnancy for me is a better version of myself. So that was good. I only had probably one scare during my pregnancy, and I had a bit of bleeding happen around 12-13 weeks. So obviously you go straight to the hospital, but everything was fine. They couldn't really explain to me what it was, but Bub was growing healthy and she was fine. And then I think it was 19 weeks, I didn't know this was actually a very common thing to happen in the second trimester. Your blood pressure can drop completely, and I wasn't even aware of that. So I got to work, just going about my business, and next thing you know, my vision just completely went, and I was just like, I'm gonna be sick. So I got up to walk, and everything was just like, yes, static vision. I could not see a thing. So I was stumbling down the hallway trying to find the bathroom, and then my hearing went as well, and I was just like, something bad's gonna happen. So too much information right now. I just sat on the toilet and I had no idea what was going to happen, but then I just completely passed out. So I was just sitting in the bathroom, and for a good minute, I'm pretty sure I was just like, and then I woke up, came to like consciousness, whatever the word is, and I was just dripping in sweat. And all I remember is me walking into the room which I was working in, and I just looked at the girl I was working with, and she was just like, what just happened? I was like, I just passed out in the bathroom. So I was just sitting on the floor. The girls called the ambulance for me, and then yeah, I went to the hospital, and yeah, they told me it's very common. So if you're pregnant and you are close to 19 weeks, just be very, 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 very careful. If you do start feeling any sort of lightheadedness, get down as close to the ground as you can. So if you do pass out, you won't fall and hit as hard as what you would if you were standing up. So Aria was also transverse breech, so she was laying sideways, I'm pretty sure. So she had a good time kicking my ribs throughout my whole pregnancy. I also, I don't know. Yeah, she loved the ribs. Don't know what else I'm gonna talk about. This is what happens, like every video that I say, I go on weird little tangents, but we'll get back to where we're meant to be. I just make this up all on the spot. Anyway, so yeah, I had a cesarean with Aria because transverse, so we were booked in to have her. And then I remember I was getting the house all clean. I think it was the Sunday, no, it must have been Monday night. I was just on the ground and I was just scrubbing the floor, getting everything ready for her, and I just completely felt my stomach just do this weird, almost like, yeah, it was obviously her moving herself, but to me I was just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, she's just moving like crazy. And then, yeah, got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, got everything ready, we're in the car, and oh, I just remember the day so clearly. It was very good and very bad, so it's a bittersweet day for me. I did not have the smoothest delivery. Like any pregnancy, I guess, you either have your good ones and, or I should say births, you're good or you're bad, and unfortunately mine was bad. So we got there and I signed in. Sam and I went up to the birthing suite. They did the ultrasound and they had me sitting in the waiting room for a little bit. Then I think it was about 9:30, they took me in. I was in my really sexy purple robe with my compression socks pulled up, and they took me into the, I don't know what room it would be. It's like the pre-room before the operating room. So that's where they do the epidural, they do the spinal, and they put the disgusting catheter in as well. Thank goodness they do it after they give you the epidural, because there's no way in hell I will be having that put inside of me if there was no numbing done. So yes, epidural, pretty painful, let's be honest. Weird sensation, so everything kind of just from here down, oh no, is it here down? Might be, whatever area, chest, we'll say chest down goes numb. My body reacted a little bit funny to the anesthetic, I think, whatever it is. So my blood pressure kept dropping and rising. So when it drops, I vomited. When it rose, I felt like my head was just getting pushed down into like a concrete floor, I guess. Like it was painful. So then they wait a little bit until your body is numb. I, for some reason, felt sensation still in my right leg. So I kept telling them, look, I don't think it's completely numb yet. Can we just wait a little bit, or can you put some more of the good stuff in there to try and numb me a bit more? And that is what kind of frustrates me, is that you know your body, your doctor does not, or the anaesthetist. So if you do experience anything that you feel like isn't normal, you need to tell them. I did, but to me, they just didn't listen. Quote, it's all in your head. So they did the ice test and I was just like, well, I can still feel it. And he's like, no, you can't. We've put enough in there so you're numb. I was like, righto. So I was getting very, very anxious about it, and they're like, look, if you're that worried, close your eyes and we'll see if you can actually feel it. You tell me where the ice is at a certain time. And yeah, so I closed my eyes. I remember laying there, and obviously he was putting in parts of my body or touching it up and down, whatever. And I was like, now. And I spot on got it every single time, but he still said, you were just preempting it. So I was just like, maybe the brain does do a weird thing. So I was just like, you know what, let's just go with it. So they wheeled me in, put me on the theatre table, I'm naked, laying there, blood pressure dropped again, I was vomiting all over the table. Aria was asleep, she hadn't moved. And then they started the procedure, so Sam was sitting next to me holding my hand. And they are so chilled in there. They were talking about TV shows, what they did on the weekend. Yeah, it was just a very chilled environment. It normally takes about 10 to 15 minutes for a cesarean to be over and done with. So during it, the incision I could not feel. So that part of it was fine. It probably got to about 5 minutes in and I started feeling a bit of pain, which you shouldn't feel. You should feel like tugging and pulling or whatever, but it started getting a little bit more and more intense as time progressed, and then it got to the point where I felt like my entire rib cage was getting torn apart. Everything that should have worked, the epidural, the spinal, completely wore off mid surgery. So I could feel the entire thing happening. I could feel their hands inside of me, I could feel them ripping at things, cutting through blood vessels, and the pain got that intense that I nearly blacked out. It's gonna sound weird, okay, I call it an out-of-body experience because that's what it was. I remember the pain got so intense, my hearing again just completely went, and I just, I don't know whether I passed out or whatever, but whatever I saw was me. I was laying down on the theatre table and I could see myself above myself, seeing myself in so much pain. I remember that I was screaming as loud as I could to get them to stop. But the thing is, I was screaming, but I couldn't even hear myself screaming. To me, I probably didn't sound as bad as what I'm explaining it to be, but it was brutal. And I'm not gonna sound over dramatic, but if I could picture death, that to me is the closest to death that I feel like I could get before actually dying. So Ari was fine still. Ari was asleep, and they looked at me and they said, look, we know that this isn't the birth that you originally planned. We're gonna have to put you to sleep. I was so relieved that they were actually going to do that, because I don't know what I would have done if they kept going. The pain was just incredible. So all I remember, they put the good stuff in, bit of champagne as they called it, and all I remember was them escorting Sam out of the room. So he was the last thing I saw. I was just looking at him and I saw him walk away and everything just went black. There was no more pain. I then woke up, and the first thing that I remember waking up was seeing Sam walking towards me with my little baby, with Aria. And so during the procedure as well, I lost a lot of blood. I have very thick blood vessels, as they call it, so she had to cut through a lot of that. So I lost a good amount of blood. I nearly had to have a blood transfusion, but luckily I didn't have to. So that was good. But they did have to put me in this like foil suit. I kind of look like an astronaut or something from E.T. It was funny, and I just remember I was just shaking. I was so cold. My body temperature had just completely dropped, so I was getting like massive load of like hot air pumping through me, and I didn't give a crap what was going on. I had Aria, and motherly instinct, even though I was so drunk, I was so like high on all the good stuff. First thing I did, motherly instinct, you just pop them right on that boobie, and that was it. I had my beautiful little girl. thankfully the surgeon that I had, she was very apologetic that they didn't listen to my concerns to begin with. I've got a sneeze coming. No, it's gone. So yeah, she was very apologetic that they didn't listen to me, but she was just like, so I know that it was a really crappy experience for you, so I just made sure that I did your stitching nice and neat so it won't be a gross scar. I was just like, cool, but that really doesn't take away the fact that you've just scarred me for life. So yeah, I remember, like, yeah, that was done. Had Aria wrapped up, she was cuddling me, and then they wheeled me into my room, which I was sharing with 3 other women. Public system, cannot afford that private health. So yeah, I luckily had a window seat, so it didn't seem so like enclosed and didn't make me feel so claustrophobic. And all I remember, I had about 10 family members there for like just waiting. I remember seeing them as they were wheeling me down, and I was so high, and I was just like, hey guys, son's my baby. And yeah, so that was it. Like, it was done from there. The family came, and then everyone left, Sam left, and then it was just me and Bubby for the night. She was horrible. I think I just snotted. She did not sleep throughout the entire stay at the hospital, and I now know why. This little girl hated being swaddled, so they would swaddle her so tightly, and she would just scream the place down. She hated it. So when I unswaddled her, she was happy and content, but they informed me that in order for her to go to sleep properly, she's needing to feel the comfort. I was like, girl, if she's anything like me, she wants to spread out. She wants to just sprawl out and just have her own space. None of this restriction crap. So yeah, we didn't get any sleep. So by the third day I was in there, I was an emotional wreck. I remember pleading with one of the nurses, who thankfully was friends with a girl that I work with, and I was just like, you have to get me out of here. I cannot do it anymore. I need to just get home. And she was like, I can see you struggling. You seem like you know what you're doing. 7 years in childcare. So she's just like, you can go home. That morning, I remember I was messaging Sam at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was having a breakdown. These nurses, and I don't want to bash anyone, but seriously, the Royal, some people have really good experiences there, and I did not. These nurses would withhold medication from me because, you know, it's a pain you can probably get through without it. Lady, if you knew the traumatic experience that I have just gone through and how sore my body is, you'd probably double my dosage right now. So I had a nurse that wouldn't do it. I had issues trying to get Aria to latch for breastfeeding. So within a day, my nipples were cracked and bleeding. And I remember I was just sitting there, and I was like at a loss. You're like, your baby's hungry. And you say, yes, you've got colostrum, but there needs to be more. So I remember I was just sitting there. They gave me a urine container, well, obviously unused. And I remember just sitting in bed, squeezing out, and I mean squeezing. And they even walked in, they're like, has your milk even come through yet? I said, no, but this girl is hungry. So I just, yeah, like pumped myself, milked myself like a bloody cow. And luckily she got enough milk then. And then walking out of that hospital was the greatest thing ever. I got home, and I remember I just it was relaxing. I took Ari out of the bloody swaddle position that they explained to me to put her in, and she slept. Friggin' finally, she slept, and she slept well. And I was just sitting in bed, and I had my pump on, and I was just pumping out the milk. Milk still hadn't come through, but I was still pumping. And then I remember that night, it's so funny, I think it was after dinner, I had massive feed. I just cooked this bulk massive spaghetti bolognese, and I just went to town on it. And I remember getting up, walking to put my plate in the sink, and my boobs just went from an F cup to a J cup. I remember they just went woo, and it's like someone's got a hold of your boobs and they are just pulling on them. So the milk came through, thank goodness. So she fed, she was happy, she was a happy newborn. The sleep, she was crap honestly until she was about 10 months old, and then she nailed it. So yeah, so that's kind of my birth and pregnancy kind of story there for you guys. It was just a little bit of a ramble, but you know me, you know my videos. So if you guys have any other video ideas that you would like me to do, or questions again, I like doing these videos. I think they're fun. It's just finding time. So when I do find time, I will sit down and do them. So message me on Instagram, or even just email me. I think I've got my email attached to my Instagram anyway, so just give me an email and yeah, we can all go from there. Okay guys, bye.